Today, we're going to paint a blueberry. And here are my art supplies. For practicing purpose, I use multi-purpose paper 200 gram and use synthetic brush. But for painting the good one, I will use 100% cotton paper. When looking for inspiration, I usually will find a real object. But the picture must be good enough and clear enough to see the whole area and the details. In this tutorial, I will use Procreate app to visualize what's inside my head when I begin watercolor painting. I divide watercolor painting process into two steps. Step 1, sketching, and step 2, watercoloring. Step 1, sketching. It is important to simplify our object into basic shapes. Here I can see two ovals, the big one and the small one. Now let's start drawing the basic shapes on the paper. For taking video, I use thick strokes, but in reality, I use thin stroke. Step 2, watercoloring. Before coloring the sketch, I usually identify areas in the object based on its brightness level. I categorize them into 3: highlight, base, and shadow. This identification helps us to strategize the watercolor techniques, where highlight is a bright or reflective area in the picture, and base is the area with shade between highlight and shadow is the darkest area in the picture. And do the same thing with the small oval area. Now let's see the techniques we're going to use in this painting process. Mainly, I will use wet on dry, soft blending, and glazing. We're going to learn them along the way on how they apply to our blueberry painting. Wet on dry here means applying wet paint onto dry paper. You can see here how I give a similar amount of pigments multiple times for the first layer and spread them out to fill up the big oval area. The reason why I don't use bigger brush and brush with a bigger capacity that can pick up a lot of water and pigment is that I want to have more control over the paint strokes. Mixed media paper that I use is only 200 gram, which can be damaged easily with excess water. Soft blending, meanwhile, is a technique where you pull out the color from the edge of the main layer to create softer and lighter edges. In this tutorial, I also use it to color the base and highlight areas. And glazing or layering colors is a technique where you put another layer on a painting to modify the appearance of the underlying layer. Could be for strengthening the shade, adding new shades, giving details, textures, or outlines. Now let's do the small oval area and other areas using the same techniques interchangeably. So here is the result of our practicing using the mixed media 200 gram. The painting might not look the way we want it due to the limitations of the paper. But if you have a big budget, like 100% cotton paper with weight of 300 gram, you can upgrade your painting like this, as you can do many layers to augment the textures and details without making your paper soaked and wrinkled. But this painting used exactly the same techniques that I showed you when we were practicing. Okay guys, I hope this is useful for you. See you again next time. Bye!